This week's topics: Open Chat AI, the return of Sam Altman, and some of the pros and cons of Open Chat AI. Welcome back to Strange Planet Podcast. Now, in the past, we've talked a lot about the many uses of Open Chat AI with its many artistic functions based on user data input. And it's just general knowledge from asking questions. And it's capable of a whole lot more. However, recently, Sam Altman, its original founder, was fired and then shortly after rehired. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe and hit that bell icon for notifications. And let's get this started.
Okay, so basically, he was fired by the board of his company. They came out with this bizarre statement that said that they had no confidence in him. And this was just after he had presented his vision for the company's future at a conference, and everything seemed to be going well. They announced the next version of ChatGPT, which was ChatGPT 4 Turbo, increased capacity for how much text input it could take in, different modalities in terms of incorporating vision and images. Everything seemed to be fine. And then the board came out with this bizarre statement randomly, and he was gone. Now, it seems that the impetus for this was this, I'm going to get his name wrong, but one of the board members, they had very big disagreements in terms of the direction of the company, in terms of what their primary objective was, both in terms of artificial general intelligence and their mission to serve the public. And so they voted that, though he convinced the board to oust Altman. And this caused quite a stir at the company, because not only did it lose its visionary leader, they also lost some other top executives, and all of or a vast majority of the staff at OpenAI threatened to just walk out if they didn't bring him back.
Wow.
And the investors were upset because Sam Altman, he is seen in Silicon Valley as perhaps the next, iconic figure, the next Steve Jobs, the next Bill Gates, someone who's going to drive technology forward and be, sort of an icon for the industry.
That's a new form of technology, too.
Right. And so they quickly reversed that. And funny enough, the board member that tried to get him out, or did successfully get him out, now that board member is gone. And they have a whole new board, including Larry Summers, who was one of Obama's economic advisors. And so, it actually worked to Sam Altman's favor, because now he has a board that's more favorable to him, and they can probably work together better to develop this technology and take it to the next stage. Interestingly enough, Microsoft, they offered Sam Altman a job, and it seemed like he was going to accept it, and head an advanced AI division at Microsoft. And they also said that there would be positions for any employees of OpenAI that wanted to join them there.
Wow.
And so this was threatening to take down OpenAI, which is the leader in this new AI generative technology. And so that would have disrupted the entire industry. But that's not going to happen now. But it will change the dynamic in terms of Microsoft's relationship with OpenAI. Microsoft is a large investor in OpenAI. And so this is going to be an interesting dynamic going forward in terms of what sort of partnership they will have going forward. If anyone's used Microsoft Bing lately, now Microsoft Bing was a kind of a fucking joke for a while. Like, no one used that over Google's search engine.
Right.
Some people out there might not even know Bing is a search engine. But now it was the first before Google got its own AI powered search engine in the form of Google Bard. Bing was the first to incorporate large language model generative AI technology in the form of Bing Chat, which used Chat GPT behind the scenes. So OpenAI and Microsoft have a very close relationship. And that is probably going to get better after, sort of Microsoft stepped in and said, you know what, we're going to take anyone on board that wants to come here and continue this work that we've been doing. So yeah, it was a very, very interesting
series of events,
series of developments in the AI space. But right now it seems to have settled, and now we're about to see just a lot of increased activity in terms of getting AI to be even more of a disruptor in both positive and negative ways in our lives.
Talk about a reversal too, huh? Because they fired him, and then less than a week later, not only did they rehire him, they got rid of the other guy. So now it seems like it's probably more Sam Altman's baby than anything now.
So the board for OpenAI, is that something that was established after they went public, or has it always been there? I'm wondering is it for the shareholders the board exists?
So OpenAI, they're kind of a it's funny because they are a not-for-profit organization, but they also have a subsidiary that is for profit. So OpenAI, the parent company, is a research organization, and it's a not-for-profit organization, meaning, they can get tax breaks, and they basically have a sort of humanitarian or sort of public policy mission that is something other than just making a boatload of money. Now, their for-profit subsidiary is allowed to make profits. And so there's a little bit of conflict in there as far as, what their end goal is and what the direction of the company is. And so their board, for-profit companies and not-for-profit companies can have boards. And the board is just a group of people who they are supposed to be responsive to the shareholders. So in a company, executives are just like the people that set the sort of direction of the company, within their purview. They sort of run things day to day. But the board is the body that makes all of the important pivotal decisions in terms of, or they approve all the important pivotal decisions. And so that, pre-existed, any sort of for-profit enterprise. They exist at the level of the not-for-profit company.
Okay.
So there's,
seems like with the whole decision for that guy to say, let's get him out, it feels like the shareholders, or at least someone somewhere, decided hey, let's get control of this company and take it where we want to go. And it thankfully blew up in his face, but
well, the shareholders were actually upset that Sam Altman was ousted because, again, they saw, him as sort of this iconic figure.
He created
and
it.
To lose. Well, yeah, he was one of the original creators. Now, OpenAI wasn't without controversy before in terms of leadership. Elon Musk was actually one of the founders of OpenAI, and he was forced to leave because he tried to take over the company. And yeah, the board wasn't really having that. He saw himself as sort of the leader of the company, and he wanted control, or at least
wanted to
that's
take
what reports say.
Burn it
But
down like he did Twitter.
but yeah, so it was interesting a few months back when you had Elon Musk penning an open letter saying, "Oh, we have to stop and pause AI because it's getting too dangerous." Meanwhile, it seems like the real impetus for that letter was Elon Musk wanting to establish his own rival to OpenAI, which he announced shortly thereafter. So really, he wanted them to slow down so that he could catch up.
Basically. Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
So it's definitely a very competitive industry there in terms of wanting to be at the forefront of AI, because whoever becomes the next Microsoft or Apple of AI is going, and it could be Microsoft itself through their connection with OpenAI. Whoever takes that pole position is going to be a very, very rich company, or an even richer company, because we're only at the precipice of what this technology is going to do for the world. And it's only going to increase in terms of investment and in terms of paying dividends and in terms of disrupting the way we go about life in society.
It's a never growing technology, too. The only thing that's going to really change as it goes on is the simplicity of how you do these things from within it. You know what I mean? Because like it's endless. It's got endless possibilities.
Because, a lot of, when new technologies first come out, they are not really accessible to the general public. Large language models and generative AI was available to people that could program and knew how to construct these models. But it wasn't really accessible to the general public that doesn't have knowledge or the equipment or whatever to do that. What ChatGPT did was it made it accessible to, anyone that knows how to use a computer, or to, type words into a search engine, or now they have the ability to just speak into and talk to ChatGPT using words, and it'll respond. And you could ask it to, make you a picture or answer any questions. And they recently updated their model to be consistent with data as soon as late as April 2023, when before it was stuck back in the past in 2021. And that was for reasons of, it's hard to make that technology safe and be able to surf the internet and have access to real-time data. Now, Bing Chat GPT, or Bing Chat, that has access to the internet, but it is also much more of a restricted model than what ChatGPT itself can handle, and the ChatGPT API, which is what programmers use to interface with the large language model.
So now you don't even have to type your description in. You could just speak it.
Right. There's an app
that's
available. There's an app that's available for phones. You could just press the microphone button and start talking to it.
Because that you could tell this is a breakthrough technology, because there is a lot of imitators of this, but I noticed the imitators are nothing like the original. The original can't be touched. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of different apps now I noticed that are, some of them are in the store, some of them are free. I don't know for a fact if any of them are connected to the OpenAI, or if they're their own thing that's trying to, kind of just be a branch off of the same kind of technology, but without all the, utilities that AI OpenChat offers. But it's growing.
Well, so I mentioned before Chat GPT, the API. That is something that a lot of developers can use to create apps. So a lot of those apps you see are actually using GPT's Chat GPT's technology behind the scenes. You connect to their servers and use their AI to generate responses, and that gets sent back to the app. So a lot of the underlying technology is OpenAI's technology. Now, Google also has its Arrival Bard, and it got off to a slow start, but it's Google. They're going to be in the game. They have access to so much data in a way that no other company in the world has. And so they're going to be one of the primary competitors. Then you have Microsoft, which is no slouch in data itself. You have Amazon developing API. You have Elon Musk, who's unfortunately the world's richest man with his own AI company. So it's definitely going to be a crowded field. Some of the players might leave the field or get bought out or merge, but it's healthy. And you're going to have a lot of open source models, which are models developed by communities of programmers that you can build a chat GPT like large language model on your own computer. Now you're not going to probably have access to the fastest, you have to have pretty pricey hardware in order to generate reasonable or lengthy responses in a reasonable period of time. But that technology is going to hopefully get cheaper in the long run, and it'll be more and more accessible to everyone, which is both a boon and a danger to society.
Yeah, that's where I was actually just going to take the conversation to. I was going to say, I don't mean to take like a rifle out to shoot it down, because something like this, you wouldn't want to have really too many restrictions on it, because then you're restricting its full potential. But at the same time, I kind of feel like there might eventually, if there isn't already, there might need to be some sort of like regulation or restrictions just to avoid chaos. You know what I mean? Because like there's a lot of great things this thing can do, but then in the wrong hands, it could be quite the opposite. You know what I mean? So it could be counterproductive in that sense. You know what I mean? And then the bad apples could spoil it for the bunch. So I wouldn't want that to happen.
Yeah. So the problem that we're facing is that there are countries, not just companies within our country, but there are countries that are also pursuing this holy grail of artificial general intelligence, which essentially is a model, an AI model that can respond to any sort of query, any sort of question, and figure out any sort of problem as good as or better than humans. And it doesn't matter what sort of problem you throw at it, it will, develop a way to respond to it in a way that a human sort of reasons his or her way to an answer. And so you have countries pursuing that, you have companies pursuing that, you have communities of programmers working on that. And so you have a lot of cooks in the kitchen per se.
Yeah.
But there are going to be bad actors that are going to want to take advantage of, the capabilities of artificial intelligence. And there's not really much we can do about it. We can regulate, we can put restrictions on our own companies, but there's not really much we can do with other countries who we're not friends with, like China or Russia per se. So, and it's going to be imperative. And if we do put restrictions on our own companies, or our own government, what does that mean in terms of our ability to compete with the artificial intelligences that other countries or companies are developing?
Right.
Are we going to hold ourselves back and then not be at the forefront of that technology? It's sort of going to be sort of like the nuclear bomb. The countries that have this capability are going to be the most powerful in the world and able to, sort of exert that power. And this is like not overt naked military power like a nuclear bomb is. It's more of a softer power, but actually probably much more capable because of that, because you can deploy AI in a way that makes it seem like it's non-threatening, but actually is very powerful and can end up easily disrupting societies. A lot of people are worried about artificial general intelligence developing its own sort of sense of not humanity, but its own sense of consciousness and developing its own free will. That might or might not happen. What we need to be primarily concerned with is this technology getting into the hands of people who would otherwise commit terrorism or exert power in ways that is detrimental to humanity, or even companies, for-profit companies that will exploit AI to create even more of a wealth disparity and inequality in society in a way that we've already seen prior to this technology. It might only exacerbate it, and that's before you even get to sort of the technological unemployment that may result from AI technology.
That was another thing I wanted to bring up too, because if this it's only going to get bigger. Let's be realistic here, but that could end up replacing people's jobs, and that could be a big problem. You know what I mean? It's simple. I don't think we're going to have to worry about something like that just yet, but I feel like this AI at its maximum potential could like replace human jobs. It's very possible. You know what I mean? So that could be. I could see that causing a ruckus. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's definitely a concern. However, we have been moving toward away from a service economy. We've been seeing a lot more of a creative economy emerging, and this might actually help in some ways. However, there is going to be massive job displacement, and we need to do a better job of seeing how AI can make our lives easier and free up our sort of cognitive load to take on other tasks that humans can do that are not yet taken up by AI. We're going to have to do a lot of thinking, and maybe
Right.
the AI will do it for us, but we're going to have to do a lot of thinking in terms of where society and where humanity focuses its energy and its cognition.
Let me ask you this too on the artistic level of the whole thing. We know that based upon any description the user puts in, it'll paint that picture per se. But these are just still images. So if you wanted like a forest with trees or, whatever the case is, based on your description you put in, it's going to spit out exactly what it is that you typed. But can it do video or animation?
Well, okay, so there are different models that can do video. They don't do it as well as images right now. That's still being worked out. But just, a couple of years ago, the images that were put out were awful. They didn't
Right.
look anything like what they do today. And, just in, if you look 6 months ago, the images now are, exponentially better than the ones that existed. And so this technology is advancing at a rapid pace. And so it won't be long before you see video that is
AI
very
generated.
accurate and very convincing. You can make realistic video, you can make, fantastical video in terms
Animation?
of and animation, sure. You can also, I know that they're for game engines, they're working on animating characters using AI. You just tell the engine you need particular animation, like someone swinging a sword or whatever, and you'll be able to have an animation, and that will sort of eliminate or put some strain on the jobs of game animators. And so, this technology is going to keep advancing, and we're going to have to try to keep up with. One of the benefits of it is you're going to see, hopefully, a lot more products. Some of them will be shitty, but others, like this, will augment humanity's ability to make creative works.
Faster,
And
too.
so not only faster, but larger scale. So what may have taken, a team of 2,000 people could only take a team of 2 people.
Right. That's a big difference.
And so while that eliminates a lot of those jobs, what if you have more teams of 2 people making more products and more services?
Yeah, you would assume there'd be more flying off the shelves at that rate too than there would be without it. You know what I mean? Because it would take more time and more people. Now it's taking less time with less people.
Right. You might see reduced costs because of that to the consumer.
You really think they would do that though? Because I hope you'd be right there, but you think that they might still be greedy and keep it or even raise it maybe?
Well, it's not a matter of being greedy. It's a matter of economics. If there's more competition in the market with, people putting out more products, then, those products are going to compete and drive down prices.
That's true too. Yeah, you're right.
Now, that's in a free and competitive market. There can be instances where, you have anti-competitive conduct in a market, and it kind of, monopolies or duopolies develop, and they kind of force out the smaller players. We don't want that to happen.
No, right. You know what I was just thinking? This might be far-fetched. But you know what I was thinking that they might be able to do, but then again, it could be looked at as like an invasion of privacy in a sense. But like some of the people that have this stuff already, or even just as it is right now, rather, when you type in whatever it is that you want to be seen or whatever you want this open chat to make, do they know? Is there like some kind of like server somewhere? Like when you type for every little thing that you decide to punch in there, do they know exactly what you're doing? Or is that kind of
yeah. So whether you use ChatGPT, which is a website, or on your phone, an app, when you type it in, it goes to their servers, and their computers are the ones that process the text that you send in and output the either text or images or whatever. So they have the ability to access your data.
Well, see, that may be a good thing, because what I was getting at was, God forbid, somebody's trying to use this stuff for, something terrorist wise or, just something bad in general. They would know in advance, so they could flag it, couldn't they?
Well, hold on right there. So terrorists are not going to use OpenAI's products. They're going to use open source models that are freely available. All the source code is available to download. They're going to use that instead.
Oh, I see. So there's a way. Yep, there's another way. All right. So then they wouldn't know. Yeah.
Right. There's going to be, there's no regulation on that.
That could be an issue.
Oh, it will be an issue.
Yeah, that's not going to be good.
There's it's not as capable as a company like OpenAI's products or services, but actually the open source models have been not that far behind.
So they're right there with it pretty much.
And all you need is a sufficiently powerful computer to run a model that is comparable to what OpenAI can do.
See, my only worry about how this could end is if that open source version, some moron or something decides to use that in a negative way. And then because of that, it could cause a ripple effect where they might have to, like, depending upon how serious the situation is, of course, and this is just a hypothetical, but it could possibly abandon all hope for this thing. couldn't it shut the whole thing down, God forbid, if it was
I
like
don't know what you mean
catastrophic
by
enough?
I don't know what you mean by shut the whole thing down. You can't, if it's an open source model, the code is shared all over the world. It's already available. You can't like, what are you going to go into everyone's house and take their computers away?
No, I just mean as a resource, because obviously they're using this open source.
Open source.
Right. So, but that is essentially the same thing. The only difference is they're using their own computer and their own sources, and it's not really connected to their open chat AI's network whatsoever. So they have no idea what they're doing, what they're building, what they're making, what they're asking it. You know what I mean? So what my question was if they decide to use this to make a bomb, say, or something like that, we're not going to know about it until it's too late. So would they then shut down all this AI shit until it's, you know what I mean? Like they figure something out?
What do you mean by shut down this AI shit? Like I said, the code is already available. It's up on GitHub, which is a coding website where code is shared. All you have to do is download it. It's on your computer. You can run it. That's already out of the bag.
Yeah, but would that be not out of the bag if this were to be, the case, say? And this is all, hypothetical. This isn't like it could happen. Don't get me wrong. It hasn't, thank God, yet. But I just feel like if something this catastrophic were to happen, maybe those things wouldn't be as available as they are. Maybe they would have to freeze this whole operation until they, figure out what the hell they're going to do. You know what I mean? That's where I feel like it could slow down the process.
I feel like you don't appreciate how impossible it would be to freeze the operation, quote unquote.
Well, if the government stepped in and said they have to shut it down, they have to shut it down.
They have to shut what down?
The server or whoever's running the show here. Because
there is no show being run. It's open source. It's random people just writing code. You're going to stop people from writing code? From writing and sharing code with each other? Is that like...
So basically, then there's no way that this will ever diminish. So people can do whatever the hell they want. And then when shit hits the fan, we're just going to look the other way on that one, I guess, like we do with everything else. That's what it seems like to me then in that case. And that's probably not good. I'm not against this in any way. I'm just trying to bring up all possibilities. You know what I mean? Because this could be a situation that might rise. And if it does, how do we handle it?
Well, that is a very good question that I don't think has an adequate answer, because I don't think there really is a way to prevent this. It's just something that's going to happen. If it doesn't happen, even if we take the most draconian measures and confiscate everyone's computer, there are other countries like we.
Right. I don't think that would be an answer to this. You know what I mean? To that anyway, because taking everybody's computer, I mean, just going to get another one. You know what I mean? So like, that's not going to solve anything.
Yeah. And that would only be to our detriment if we stopped production of AI, because that would mean that other countries get to catch up and advance in terms of technology. Yeah. And it would threaten our national security interests in terms of, all of our military spending would be for naught if, a super intelligent AI could dismantle our entire defenses.
Right. And that's another thing you brought that up earlier about it having its own consciousness, because if that were to happen, that would bring another whole series of issues to the table.
Yeah, like I'm not even thinking about that now. It's not even guaranteed that this sort of tree of AI that's being developed in terms of large language models, it's not clear, in generative AI, it's not clear that will lead to quote unquote consciousness of machines. There's definitely, I'd say that it is possible, because we don't even really know what consciousness is. It could be completely mechanical in nature.
That's true.
And so I think it's entirely possible to replicate that. Now, whether it's achievable through a large language model or in generative AI alone, that's going to be seen. It could be another type of artificial intelligence that is developed that could lead to artificial general intelligence, or perhaps using large language models and generative AI, we could figure out how to make that other type of AI that will get us to artificial general intelligence. There's, a lot of possibilities, and it probably will just take a lot of experimentation. But I think that sort of AI is not on the immediate, or it's not on the immediate horizon. Now, there are rumors that OpenAI has some sort of artificial general intelligence. That's certainly possible. But I think that in terms of consciousness, we don't even know how to answer the question of consciousness ourselves. And so, how could we develop a test that would really determine whether or not a machine is conscious? We can't even describe, except through our own experiences, what consciousness is.
So, with the advancement of AI as it's going, when we do eventually get to a basic enough model of general AI, I think a couple of life-changing technologies you'll see is built-in AI technology into cell phones or smartphones as it is now, called like personal assistants, where you can just talk to your phone and schedule appointments for you and stuff like that. And the bigger technology that'll be hugely life-changing is when they start incorporating that into robots. I mean, that's way down the line, but that's definitely going to be like, iRobot, Will Smith kind of movie, whereas you're going to have these personal assistants helping people, and it'll be expensive at first, and then it'll be almost like it has to be, the government will have to get involved, and I can kind of see that in the future. I mean, what do you guys think about that?
So on the cell phone part, I don't think it'll take artificial general intelligence to have an effective assistant on a phone. Like, there will be, and there, I can look into my phone right now and I can ask ChatGPT or Bing a series of questions and get responses. And they're within the next, I think, couple of years, you're going to see, these assistants and things like that are just going to grow more and more capable. In terms of robotics, I don't know that obviously there will be a place for robotics, and I don't think it will be that far ahead, because that's actually another advancement in AI that we're making in terms of machine learning, which is the umbrella under which large language models and generative AI comes from. So this like robotics, one of the problems with that in the past was that we were unable to mimic human behavior. There was just this problem in terms of dexterity. How do you get a robot to grab an item that is sort of delicate and make precision movements?
Right.
So what machine learning has done is you can simulate that over and over and over and over again, and the machine can basically teach itself how to do this. It makes errors along the way, but it just keeps getting better and better. One of the examples of this is in self-driving cars. They can actually set up simulations, sort of like a video game, where you set up all the variables in terms of simulating how a car is supposed to drive. And you can actually simulate even dangerous scenarios like train crossings. And the robot, in this case a car, will learn what to do when it's stuck on a railroad track, and needs to be able to get out. And yeah, it'll fail a bunch of times, but it's just a simulation. So you're not really wasting any considerable resources. You're not destroying a car every time, and you're not putting, people really at risk. And it's going to teach itself very rapidly because you can run, tens of thousands, if not millions of simulations in the matter of minutes or hours. And so the same thing can be done with how to, say, grip a ball. Just before, we had programmers trying to figure out all the different ways the human hand can grip and how to program that into a machine. And now machines can learn for themselves by just trying it out. That's called reinforcement learning. And they could also have human feedback in terms of correcting its mistakes, and they can also observe humans and try to emulate it and learn from that. So machine learning and generative AI is really opening up the door for robotics to actually become more of the things that we see in science fiction movies like I, Robot. Whether or not they'll be practical in terms of living with them like the Jetsons or whatever, or whether, whether those sort of things might, be, whether it might be more advantageous to just have, a personal assistant in a cell phone. Of course, if you want a robot to go fetch you something or whatever,
cook you a meal.
It would be, I would just like, it's kind of sad though, because like I just know we're gonna have robots doing some dumb shit for us. Like
probably.
Yeah, go fetch me those Fritos. Like we're gonna waste this technology like we wasted the internet. At least a lot of people are.
I mean, as far as the personal assistants on the phones go, to a certain extent, we kind of have that already. Because like Apple has Siri, doesn't like Galaxy have something
dumb.
too?
Yeah, but they're dumb.
She is there. They're not bright. That's true.
No, but with large language models like ChatGPT, they're going to get smarter and actually more helpful.
And that's our show for this week. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit the bell icon for notifications. Strange Planet will have new episodes on YouTube every Friday. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next week.